Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Resolve. In the last episode, we made two redheads cry. And I'm actually not that sorry about it. We got a little bit lucky. We got really lucky because I wanted to do something else, but it turned out to be right. So, I guess that's okay. But here we are now, and we are about to learn about the detective and his identification. At least what these two redheads have to say about that. So let's just get into it.
The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though it didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification. We took the man's identification from him and shut him in the room next door to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. He spent the night in the night's room. It was nothing like prison, really.
Okay, guys. This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man.
But no, see, no. It was not like a prison. He was a very comfortable and calm and happy. Ay, capo. It was never part of my plan. I swear it. Oh, so you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the date of the ferry wrong by one little a day. I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it. No. Per favor, capo. It's not fair.
You shall have plenty of time for scrabbling back at the prison, gentlemen.
Oh, I don't believe this. How could he have been a real detective?
Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. So on the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. Okay, that is some revelation here. The detective and the identification.
The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout.
Hold it! Do you realize what you're saying?
You have to believe me. I never intended for that to happen. And I'm sure the detective did not intend it either.
Do you think?
But there was nothing else I could do. See, nothing else. This was the first crime of the capo. He was at the end of his wits. I have told you before, Peppino, that is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind.
What about this hideout of yours?
An old empty house behind the back on Lime Street. We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the capo here.
An impulsive idea, I would say.
No, not impulsive, inspired. Aye, capo. What am I supposed to say to that, huh, Peppino?
And it wasn't the house described that you confined Inspector Gregson, was it?
Oui. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector.
That doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there?
No, you're right, but we couldn't be completely certain. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case.
Hold it! Too scared? Why?
Because why has he come to the park? We didn't know. There was a chance that he had seen through my plan. And if that was the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, without a doubt.
I think most people would agree that it's you two who were up to no good.
Well, see, you may be right. Aye, capo. The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner.
What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place.
See, I ask myself the same question. We were writing down the names and addresses of all the people who took 5 shillings from that day. I have forgotten what name he said, but the address it started to me. Si, address Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said.
What?
He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification.
What was Inspector Gregson playing at? Tell the call what happened next. You took him back to your hideout, you say?
See, we did. We took the man's identification from him and shot him in the room next to ours.
Hold it! That being this identification book here, correct?
See, that is the one.
What made you believe that it was a forgery?
He never seen a real one, of course. But he was so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking it must be falso. Ai, capo?
Oui, it is just as Peppino has said. We were convinced it was not a genuine.
And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive.
All we did was shove him inside a locked room. Then we made preparations to transport all of the money. In for a penny, in for a pound.
There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go.
Hold it! What do you mean by a little tussle exactly?
But it was nothing, just a minor incident. The false inspector, he was a real piece of the work. Ai, capo?
Sorry, guys. What happened?
Uffa, it was a disaster. We give him a nice room, and what does he do? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilatore.
Can you blame him?
We chased him, bien sûr, and we caught him again. Can you blame us?
Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you?
Zut, what do you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught hold of him again and took him back to the zoo.
Excuse me. We're gonna pursue you immediately, of course. Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong?
Me.
Something Mr. De Rousseau just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Cavolo, at the times like that, you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak from a personal esperienza.
Personal experience?
That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the red-headed league plan into action, I was scared. I was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away.
It's a shame you didn't manage it.
But the capo here, he came after me like the turbine, and he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it, ai, capo.
Bruises, you say?
You wanna see, you wanna see my fantastical bruises? That's enough, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. What to do? I show you, or I don't. I show you, or I don't.
You do. Now!
Alors, if everybody wants to see it, then I do it. Ecco, you see, I still have a very visible eye.
That red ring around your neck, you got that when you were dragged back to the house?
See, the capo sometimes is very rough, and I said that's enough. Peppino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word.
Yes. What is your opinion, counsel? About this red ring around Mr. De Rossi's neck, I wonder, does it matter? It must be important. If it weren't, we wouldn't get this select screen, so it's important. Mr. De Rossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck.
Aye, capo, you see, everyone is interested in what I say, huh?
Very well. You will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi.
See, if you really wanted to know. He tried to escape, but the cop put the collar on him and dragged him back like what he did to me, see?
Just a second. We took the man from him and shut him in the room next to ours. Just in case. Have we pressed this already? Can't really remember right now. Yeah. Okay, so we pressed that. I'm sorry, guys. I just couldn't remember. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Sorry, guys. Sorry. But we haven't pressed this yet.
He tried to escape, but the cop put the collar on him and dragged him back like what he did to me, see?
Hold it! Are you saying that red mark was caused by...
See, a big collar made from leather.
A leather collar? Is this true, Mr. De Rousseau?
What? We had at Saint Bernard at home when I was younger. It is a souvenir from that time with a very strong chain.
A strong chain? And you put that around your friend's neck?
I'm sorry. I was so angry that he was leaving me alone. You did not have to tie the chain to the leg of the bed, though. I would not have tried to run again.
You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you?
Treat the people equal, is the couple here's the motto, aye?
It's starting to sound a lot more like a prison of all of us suddenly.
The capo is a tough, but the capo is a rough. I shouldn't have done it.
So, the following morning, when you released the inspector...
He had the red ring around his neck just like me. Peppino, s'il vous plaît, leave it now. Now you know, huh? The capo here. You don't want to tangle with him, aye? But for the inspector, it's not so bad. He spent the night at the nice room. It was nothing like prison, really. Well...
Hold it! You're gonna press, of course. You took away the man's freedom. However comfortable we make it sound, you were still holding him prisoner.
If you say that, then I say this. There is something that takes away your freedom too. The lack of money. So we are the prisoners as well, huh? All of us.
Huh?
No money, no freedom. This is the truth. It is makes me mad and it makes me sad. We do? What can we do?
Well... If you feel so disenfranchised, take money to court. Though it'll cost you, of course.
Oof, there you have it. You see, this is why we need the Red-Headed League to fight for the justice.
Perhaps he has a point.
No, Mr. Naruto. All we did was to give the man a comfortable place to sleep for the night. And you say he was a prison, huh? Huh?
Perhaps he has a point again.
No again, Mr. Naruto. You should have heard him snoring. My die. If anyone was dirt, it was us.
Not much to go on, really.
The testimony does make me wonder, you know. About this pocket watch belonging to the inspector, I mean.
Ah, yes, the one he treasured so much, apparently.
If he was confined, but not restrained, as the witnesses are implying, he would still have been able to wind his watch.
That's very true, yes. So did Inspector Gregson actually die while he was being held captive by these redheads?
In which case, is it possible that these two young men are responsible for Inspector Gregson's?
To be honest, I find that hard to believe.
Perhaps we should try
to find out exactly what happened.
Very wise, Mr. Naruto, yes.
Well, the truth is we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day. We took the man outside and shut him in the room next door. He tried to escape. But wait a second. Are we supposed to present this? Yes, we are. There is no mark whatsoever on the inspector's collar. So, So the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However you describe it, there is one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, counsel? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see that there is no red ring visible around his neck. But that makes no sense. It was no one who took the collar of the man in the morning. And I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have. Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we expect to see bruising on the victim, who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. De Rossi.
Indeed, that is most peculiar.
But what we tell you, huh? We say this from the beginning many times.
Oui, Pepino's right. The man in the photograph is someone different to the man without captives at night.
Ooh, okay, things are turning out. Order!
It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all.
Objection!
If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book, issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself.
And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the red-headed leak in his diary for the day. Which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely.
The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation.
But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification?
Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel?
The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruto. Because those are the facts, and the facts cannot lie.
No, the facts can't lie.
Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable.
Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the red-headed leak's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe.
Good gracious! Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruto. So why don't you help us all to see whatever the truth it is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi?
It wasn't an imposter. It can't be Gregson. It must be an imposter, right? It has to be an imposter. I can't think of anything else. It must be an imposter. Or is it? Alright. It must be an imposter. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson.
In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
On the contrary, I haven't finished.
What?
There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification?
See, that's right! We tell the same story every time! Whoever this man was, the couple dragged me from a paella to a pose of the dog collare. Mon Dieu, Peppino, I was not so arch as you say, huh? So who was that false inspector? Who was he?
Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park, posing as Inspector Gregson? Well, that is a very good question indeed. Wait a second. Guys, do you see this? Are you seeing the same thing? Okay, I'm just gonna present gossip. Goodness me, isn't that... One of the witnesses who was on the stand in this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay. Hearsay, yeah. Peddling hearsay to passers-by.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with the police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not?
What has happened to his lip? See, this man is not for the red-headed leak, he's looking for the twisted lip leak, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising.
Oh?
What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Order, order! Bailiff, bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately! He does have a bruise. Well, I never... An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him.
Now, what's going on here, huh? I've always had this it's a birthmark, innit?
A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you.
Something about an inspector again. But I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual.
You're denying all knowledge of it?
Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all the nonsense, huh?
Well, at least you'll have more stories to paddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do you have any choice?
We are in a big trouble, capo.
That's quite enough dilatory chat. Proceed with the testimony. Witness testimony. Do we still have time? Yes, we do. The inspector and the identification revisited.
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. Is right, see? You think we would forget these grand leaps, huh?
I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've no interest in any red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, huh? Does it look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this?
It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man.
What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony.
That's right, I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. Why would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, huh?
Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but... A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be on to something?
I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruto.
Cross-examination. The inspector and the identification revisited. Well, guys, we haven't just reached the half-hour mark, but we are so close that it's not actually worth it to start this cross-examination. So if you want to know how we turn things in a manner that we actually can come to a possible conclusion or a plausible conclusion, you'll have to tune in next time for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. See you Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve. See you then.